So here is our topic is the Toltec culture. I am Santiago La Calleja and my team is Milan Devos and we are going to present this culture. So here is our timeline. Here we can see that at the 800 BC there are the origins of the Toltec culture, and at the 1150 BC it is the decline of this culture. So we didn't put another dates because this culture hasn't any important events that are known today. Introduction. The Toltec culture is a pre-Columbian culture from Mesoamerica from the post-classic period. Their language is Nahuatl. Actually, 291,722 people talk that language. It is the same language that dominates the north of the Mexican plateau between the 10th and the 12th century. Some of their main centers were Huapalcalco in Tulancingo and the city of Tolan, Xicocotlan, located where is now known as Tula de Allende. Tula was the capital of the Toltecs and was referred to as Tolan by the Aztecs. This city is famous because of their singular stone statues called Atlantes, but the Toltec culture also spread to Tlaxcala, Ciudad de Mexico, Morelos, and Puebla, but with a minor population. Here is an image of one of the Toltec pyramids, and here is another Toltec pyramid with the Atlantis. Here is our map. The green part is the Toltec territory. The purple part is the extent of the Toltec artifacts and architecture influences. The brown part is the Toltecs on Yucatan absorbed by Mayan culture, and the other color are the other territories and the other cultures.
Origins and spread. The Toltecs had roots in the Tolteca Chichimeca people, who during the 9th century AD had migrated from the deserts of the northwest to Culhuacan in the Valley of Mexico. According to the Aztecs, the first Toltec leader was Setepacatl Mixcoatl, and his son Seacatl Topiltzin would go on to gain fame as a great ruler and acquire the name of the great god Quetzalcoatl. The first settlement of the Toltecs was at Culhuacan, but they later established a capital at Toyan and acquired a population between 30,000 and 40,000.
So, the religion and traditions. It is not a belief system. It isn't ritualistic or dogmatic in any sense. Rather, it is a modern philosophy of life, a way of living in the world similar to Hellenistic philosophy of the Stoics. Hellenistic philosophy was based on the Stoicism, which is a philosophy designed to make us more resilient, happier, more virtuous, and more wise. As a result, better people. The teaching and wisdom of the Toltecs are the same universal wisdom that is found in all major spiritual religions. Toltec, more powerful or most powerful god was Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl was the god of the morning and the evening star. At his temple was the center of the ceremonial life. There were another god, Texatipolca, who was the opposite of Quetzalcoatl, as he represented war, tyranny, and evil. The Toltec were a warlike people, no doubt conquering surrounding tribes and imposing tribute without any concern for integration. Here is an image of the god Tezcatipolca, and here is another of the god Quetzalcoatl.
Weather. The climate that the Toltecs had was very varied. Sometimes they had 32 degrees maximum and sometimes 23 minimum, sometimes with humidity, wind, and visibility.
The amaranth was one of the Toltecs' most important foods, and with that they made the base of honey, raisins, and peanuts. Thanks to this seed, the Toltecs didn't pass hunger in the early days. Toltec soup. It was made with nopales, corn, red tomatoes, and bell pepper. They only ate the Mesoamerican food, toasted corn, cooked or even raw. Tomatoes, quails, nopales, or better said cactus, prickly pear, and maguey. And as meat they ate gopher, rats they found in the camps, squirrels, deers, and birds from stews they only ate. Tamales, tortillas, atole, the huitlacoche, and the pumpkin. Here is an image of the amaranth, and here is an image of the Toltec soup.
Ruling class and privileged ones, including priests, governors, nobles, and military warriors. They all wore dresses with precious stones, shells, snails, feathers, and more stuff dedicated to the high class. Most of the men wore the maxlatl, or loincloth, a type of apron or a cape covered with feathers. The priest and hierarch wore a little skirt called the quilt. The fierce warriors wore a ichapuigi, armor for the fierce warriors elaborated in different materials. They also wore sandals and belts, and they also wore a t-shirt without sleeves called the xikoyi. The wealthy women, part of the privileged, wore a broad tangle as a skirt that covered their front and back part of their legs. They also wore the cuechquemitl, that's triangle-shaped, formed by two rectangles of cloth with one opening to cover the woman's breast. Dominated class, integrated by those who dedicated themselves to trade, crafts, and agriculture. They were identified very easily because of the clothes they would wear. The own outfits of the Toltecs that they were permitted to use were very limited and from simple elements. Men wore simple loincloth and a tangle leaving the thorax naked. Women were used to wear the huipil, or blouse made with rustic fabric.
Toltec architecture at Tula included pyramids, large palaces, and dense urban housing. The Aztecs wrote of Tula's great beauty and impressive character, but today it is difficult for us to know how it looked. Not much of it remains. Tula was burned by invading cultures in the 12th century, and the Aztec cluster took stones and sculptures from the ruins for their own house complexes. Surviving architectural sculpture and the pyramids include large columns, each consisting of four drums carved as warriors standing atop the five tiers of the 10-meter high Pyramid B. Tula was laid out with limestone structures built around a central plaza or square. The largest building was Stone Pyramid, later given the name Pyramid C. Unfortunately, today it's a little more than a ruin. Better preserved is a slightly smaller pyramid given the name Pyramid B. Pyramid B was a step pyramid, built of series of horizontal platforms, each a bit smaller than the other one below it. Pyramid B had one great colonnade or columned hall leading up to it. Other structures include flat-roofed temples with square columned walls, additional pyramids, two ceremonial ball courts, and many colonnades all around the central plaza. People lived in rectangular houses, five of them often clustered in complex. Here is an image. The image we see at the first of the presentation is a pyramid with the Atlantis, and here are a ruin of a house of that age.
Daily life. Much of what is known about Toltec family life daily life. Much of what is known about Toltec family life comes from the Aztecs, who later seized power from the Toltecs in the Valley of Mexico. It is assumed that, like the Aztecs, Toltec's household consisted of the wife, husband, and the unmarried children. In addition, the house may also be home to many of the husband's relatives. Much like in a modern families, the responsibilities were divided by gender. The husband would support the family and the wife would provide the family with clothing and food. Everyone in the household, including the children, helped with household responsibilities. Another responsibility of the father was to educate children until the age of 10, when the boys would be sent to a temple where they would be taught religion and military training. Some girls would also go to temples, but those who did not stayed home and learned to perform household responsibilities from their mothers.
What ended the Toltec civilization's regional dominance is not known. A warlike people, no doubt, conquering surrounding tribes and imposing tribute without any concern for integration into the Toltec political and religious culture. The empire may well have simply disintegrated when put under the strain of such a natural phenomenon as a sustained doubt. Internal disputes may also have led to the break of the power structure, and this is hinted at in the legendary stories of battle between the gods Quetzalcoatl and Tezcatlipoca, inter- intertwined with the historical figures. What is more certain is that in the middle of the 12th century CE, Tolan showed signs of building destruction. Many architectural columns and statues were burned and purposely buried, and the site was systematically looted by the Aztecs. Here is an image representing the internal dispute. There is a theory of the decline of this culture, and here is the Aztecs looting the city and burning. I sent you a video, really short, so I swear you enjoy it.
Over 500 years before the rise of the Aztec, the Toltec redefined leadership in central Mexico, enforcing power not through military might, but through the moral force of their teachings. They coordinated trade between states and arbitrated disputes, all within the framework of their religion. Their capital functioned like Wall Street, the Vatican, and the Supreme Court combined. It was also here, in Tolan, that a priest who held the name of the god Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, would be exiled, eventually sailing into the Gulf of Mexico, vowing to return in another time as a savior for the people. After less than 2 centuries, Tolan, like Teotihuacan before it, was violently destroyed. But while the city burned, the sophisticated Toltec leadership escaped, many of the elite families moving to the Valley of Mexico. For 150 years, in the shadows of the ruins of Teotihuacan, the Toltec established control over the city-states of the valley. Their influence was so great that their bloodlines became the benchmark of nobility throughout the region.
So thanks for your attention. I hope you like this presentation, and I hope you understand the topic.